Today is July 18th, 2013, about 3 p.m., and we're sitting with Deanna Messing.
All right. Yeah, so if you don't mind.
Okay. Well, I was born in Iowa,
Okay.
and then when I was about 17 months old, we moved to Los Angeles.
Oh.
And I lived in California in the Los Angeles area until I was 14.
Okay.
And then my dad started a business in Denver, and we moved back here and lived in Westminster, and I graduated from Westminster High School
Okay.
in 1958. So then I married in 1958, and how I got up here was my husband decided he would go to electronics school, and he became a TV technician. And at the time, there was a jewelry store here in Sather's Jewelry, and they decided to put in televisions, and they needed repair. There was nothing going on in town at that time. This is 1968.
Okay.
And so we came up for an interview, and they took us to dinner and wined and dined us and everything. So we went to bed that night thinking, I'm thinking we're not coming up. The next morning I get up, and he says, we're moving here. So so we moved here 45 years ago.
Wow.
And he ran the business there 2 years, and then we bought it in 1970.
What was the business
It
called?
was a television repair.
Television.
And then we sold TVs, and then we sold some appliances, and he repaired televisions and things like that. And then in 1985, the business was closed. It was a real huge business slump. We were in a what do they call that? When we were in a bust. The economy was.
Right. All of Craig.
Yeah, all of Craig
All of
was.
Craig,
Yeah.
right.
So and lots of businesses were closed. Anyway, lost the business, and then he went to work for the state, and so then we actually left town for the shortest duration of any move that I can imagine, 7 weeks. And he got a call from the state of Colorado and to work, to be an electrician at the state, and we moved back.
Wow.
Where we wanted to be, because our family was here.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Then somebody said something about talking about the flowers. I worked in the flower shops.
Yeah.
So I closed. No, I started. First one I worked in, they decided to close. So then I worked in another one, which is the flower mine, which is still going. And then I helped start another one, the candlelight floral. And then then they closed that one out in 2006.
What was that one called?
Like that. Pardon?
What was that one called again?
Candlelight Floral.
Candlelight. Wow.
And there was 3 owners in that, and I worked for all 3 owners. And they decided to close that out, so then I retired.
Right.
I was semi-retired anyway.
Okay.
So
if we can that's good. That's a good timeline. Coming from LA, we're from Long Beach, so I'm glad you said it right. Coming from LA to Denver and then to Craig, I mean, you lived in big cities and then you came here. So what was it like coming to this small town? What was
actually, we lived in Westminster, which is a suburb of Denver,
and
it's a small town. I never actually lived in the big city.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, Downey was where I remember most of my growing up being, and that's at the time.
Downey
it was little.
Yeah,
now I have no idea. I haven't been back there for 50 years. And
it's pretty big now.
Yeah, it is. And so I actually lived in small towns, went to small schools, everything, all along.
Okay.
And to come here, it really was a much smaller area. We liked it. It wasn't home for a while because my family and all was over there, and we had to travel back and forth. As far as the town goes, yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
It was, you knew the people,
right.
And everything. Now, even though it's not that huge a place, still don't know anybody. People move so much, and they come in and for a short while with pipeline and that kind of stuff, and then they leave. And so it's not quite the same as it used to be, but we still have friends and things that have had for 30 years.
Right.
So actually, some of them for 40 some years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What did the town look like? What were there any key features you remember when you first came?
Well, it was two-way street on Victory.
Two-way street on
Yeah,
Victory. Okay.
and I can remember how upset so many people were when that went in. And it took a while to get used to it. It really did. And, but, I don't know, it doesn't bother me that they did that.
Now, where was the television repair business?
Just across the street here. We started across the street where the, I think that new saddle shop is at.
Oh, right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we moved down the street and had a bigger place, and it's where, gosh, what's there now? So many things have been in that place that I can't remember what's in it. It's just south of the chiropractor's place, or the physical therapy place.
Okay.
Just
okay.
what's in there.
I'm not sure.
Gosh.
Right.
Yeah,
there.
right there. We were right on Yampa the whole time.
So after the one-way street change, does that affect business at all? Because cars weren't coming.
My business, because we were on Yampa, but people complained about how they didn't like the change.
Right.
It just wasn't the same. So they thought it really ruined some of the businesses because people they bypassed. If you weren't going west, you got bypassed.
Right.
So, I don't think it. We were never bothered by it because we were on Yampa rather than Victory.
Okay.
And
So you all had a TV repair for almost 20 years?
15 years. Let's see, 70 to
80, like you said.
Yeah.
15 years.
Okay.
To 85.
So did you see the business change at all with Craig?
Yeah, there was, during the boom times, they'd say, oh, wow, business is going to be great. Well, these people weren't buying things like this. I mean, they already had their televisions and all this. And they were sending their money home. And so we didn't see any huge influx of money or anything, it was just the regular people. And we found when being in business and having this being a large sheep industry, that a lot of those people shopped in Utah. And places like that, in Junction, they went out of town to do their shopping. So we didn't always have a lot of their business because they didn't shop locally. But we would do repairs for them, that type of thing, but we wouldn't sell them the actual TV. So anyway, when we went out of business, I was happy.
So business didn't necessarily pick up with the boom then?
Not necessarily. It wasn't. I mean, we would prepare for them if they brought their family and had their televisions, and we might repair the set. But for the most part, we didn't sell them new things or anything like that. So, no, we didn't find that it was a huge advantage during the boom times.
Right.
So.
How did the downtown area change around here and all the shops during the boom?
Well, I'm trying to think when they started doing downtown beautification and that kind of thing. I can't remember. It was during the 80s, I imagine, that they started trying to perk the town up, make it look better and everything. And then, of course, then it kind of bottomed out again in the mid-80s, and then during the 90s when we were no longer in business, I think then they started doing, making things nicer. Like there was the big fire and took out where the park is right now, the Alice Pleasant Park, that wiped all that out, the whole area in there, and that's when after that they put the park in instead of building a new building. Yeah, that was quite exciting.
So the park came after buildings?
After the buildings were burned down. That would be someplace in the files, I imagine, here.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I didn't realize that was why the park was there.
Yeah, it was just a big area, open area for quite a while, and then...
When was that?
That's what I'm trying to think. I said we were going to have some dates, because I'm terrible at dates.
No, it's just a decade in general.
Well, it had to be during the... don't know if it was it might have been during the 70s even,
Okay.
late 70s I would imagine, or early 80s.
No problem.
Yeah. Anyway, it took out quite a few buildings.
Yeah, yeah. And how did the people change in Craig?
People changed. Well, an awful lot of new people came in, and of course we didn't know those. There's a lot of new faces on the street that you hadn't seen before, and kind of, put a strain on the schools because of the more people, and then that would take even some in the schools, not be as crowded. I remember when they had up here what now where they built the new junior high and the grade school, they had trailers in the lot for a while.
Oh, like trailer classrooms?
Yeah, trailer classrooms for a while. But then that didn't last. I guess they must have been adding something on. But anyway, it's just,
overcrowded schools.
Yeah. But then that like I say, that kind of changed, and it wasn't so overcrowded. They got rid of the trailers. They may have been building something at the time, but I have a terrible memory.
How would you characterize the relationship between the people who are coming to town and the locals, if for lack of a better term?
I don't remember that there was any huge conflict.
Really? Okay.
I mean, maybe it just didn't. Maybe there was, and I didn't know about it. But it didn't bother me, and so because our church didn't grow or change from it really, and we had our own conflicts going on, but it wasn't because of the influx of people, I don't think. Well, maybe there was some influx that they all decided they wanted to do things differently, and it didn't work out. But anyway, so, but I don't know. I think you'd have, by the time things changed and more people started coming in, we were no longer in business. And my husband worked for the state, and I was just in the flower shops. And we usually asked people when they come in, they said, we're new to town. And I'd say, and what do you do? Because I was always interested. What brought people to Craig?
Yeah.
And it usually was they were working for the coal, and the coal industry or the energy type, or they'd gotten a job at one of the new businesses. And things, I'm real funny about when something changes, and in a few years I can't remember what was there. What was there? Type of thing. And my husband was real good at that. He could remember all that kind of stuff. Refresh my mind as to what was there. But so I don't know. And at one time the flower shops, there was 1, 2, 3 flower shops, and then City Market opened up a flower shop, and then Safeway had to stick one in, and then one of them closed, and then we opened another one up, and so there's always been plenty of flower shops. Right now we're at the lowest point, I think, in flower shops.
How many are there now?
There's the Flower Mine, City Market, Safeway. That's it.
Does Walmart do flowers?
They bring them in for special occasions, and they'll have the bunches, but they don't fix them, and they don't take any orders over the phone or anything like that. Whereas Safeway doesn't either. They just carry. Yes, they. No, wait a minute. They do too. When they built a new store, or remodeled the store, they took in that. So the 3 places take orders and deliveries, I guess.
So you think the big chains really mess with local?
Well, I think so. When City Market and Safeway decided to put in a flower department, like, especially City Market, which they have a very good flower department, they did, take over and run some of them out. And, of course, the one that went out over here on Bree Street, she was so old it was time for her to quit. And, she was well into her 80s. And so she probably did quit, but I think we have probably the right amount now, because you could be overloaded with them and not that's why they didn't stay in business. I think the ones that had to go out was because they just couldn't make ends meet with too many places
Right.
sending out, too many people asking for the dollar, so, but, anyway, any more questions?
What was it like working in a flower shop, and what did you do?
Well, I was a designer. I designed, and I delivered, and I cleaned it. We all did everything, but I was a designer, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I really did. I did not like holidays necessarily, because when the one flower shop, we would work 17 hours in a stretch. You'd go home and you'd get a few hours sleep, and then you'd come back at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and so it was not, that wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we got into the other shop, the last one I worked at, they all said, we're not going to work those kind of hours, and we did a lot of prep work, and we did, just got ourselves ready for it, and we might work till 11 or 12 at night, but we weren't working till 3 or 4 in the morning, and, and you met yourself coming in those instances. But, no, I don't miss being out of it now. I can enjoy the holidays.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I still get to do some flower work every once in a while. I still do silks and things like that.
Right.
So, anyway.
Were there any particularly busy times that were just really random?
Oh. Yeah. There was Mother's Day, and you'd have prom, and you'd have a funeral and a wedding, and everybody decided to do it all at once. There was Christmas. There was Easter was busy sometimes, not as much though. But yeah, prom, Mother's Day, and Christmas were the worst. And then Valentine. Was horrible.
Yeah.
Did you ever do any weddings or anything?
Oh yeah, weddings, funerals. Yeah. So it was, I hate to say fun, but we got to do some very interesting things at the funerals. And we could design the casket piece. Some people wanted personalized and all that kind of stuff, and we got to, work in their hats and their saddles and their all that kind of stuff. And
right.
so it was fun to design things personally, And so.
What was it like opening up the businesses?
Well, I was an owner, but they had me helping them right along, and everything. So we had to unpack everything and get the displays all ready. And most of the shops, in fact, all of them, they all had things for sale. They were, like gift shops too.
Right.
And so we had to unpack everything and get everything organized. And they did the advertising and things like that, so I didn't have to mess with that. But then,
right.
The people that opened this candlelight to begin with were well known, been here for hundreds of years, type of thing, and so business just started right off really good because my friends all came to them. So, and then once the store was established, then it was each time it was sold, then it didn't, it didn't drop off or anything because the new person had friends that came and that kind of stuff. And so it was. I always said I was a slave. I was sold with the business. So,
yeah.
But anyway, it was nice. But then, like I say, I'm not sorry to be out of it.
Right.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So.
Did you guys do anything with the Centennial for Craig? Was there any special parade or float event or anything?
No, not from the flower aspect of it. But with the Centennial, yeah, we had actually, and that was in which, give me a date, 76? Is that the Centennial? Oh, Centennial of Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. At one of those, they had a flyover. The Air Force did a flyover.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what that occasion was. It was a big parade and everything, and then the Air Force came in their 4 jets and zoomed right up.
Wow.
Going east. It was, they went west. Exciting.
That's awesome.
They came over fairly low and everything. It was real exciting. I kept trying to think what that one for. It was a big celebration of some kind.
Huh.
for one of the, it wasn't the 100-year. You've been talking to people. When was the 100-year for Craig?
You have me in my backpack.
Let's see if that refreshes my memory on anything.
The 100-year for Craig was... It's right here, I have it.
Okay. Oh, right, okay.
2008.
Okay, oh, that's right. So, because I was out of it by then, so I wasn't, but other than just... We had a lot going on.
Yeah.
So, but I don't remember what it was.
That's right, that's right.
So,
how did you get into art and doing your art?
oh, well, I discovered in grade school I could draw.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I just fiddled around with it, and then in my early 20s, before we moved up here, I started a class at one of the community things. And then I started taking things from class that the teachers up at the high school, they would teach things. And over the years, then I started, my brother down in South Taos, New Mexico, he had, for 20 years, he ran an art workshop, and he'd get in really named people. And then we'd be there for a week, and I'd help cook, and then take the classes for free. And so did that for about, I didn't do them for the full 20 years. I just, things, I had family and all kinds of stuff, but once the kids were out of the house and everything, then I started concentrating on, art.
Right.
And so over the years, I've changed the kind of medium, I added new mediums to it, and right now I'm concentrating on pastels. I like doing that. And, there was a gal here in town for several years, Susan Zabinski Blackwood, and she kind of was my mentor. I got into watercolor that way. And
right.
So anyway, anytime there's not a whole lot of club type of thing around here. And I don't know why, they don't hold together. And so, but every once in a while we get together, some of us will go out and paint and stuff like that. So.
It's interesting.
I just kind of do it on my own,
Yeah.
Once in a while I take a class from somebody. This fall I'm going to go down to Junction and take one from a pastel artist that I've taken from in Mexico, New Mexico, before. So I'm going to take from him.
Right.
Anyway, that just kind of keeps your juices flowing and gets you interested when you take from somebody who, so anyway.
That's interesting.
I've enjoyed it.
That's great.
I just wish they'd sell.
Yeah.
So.
How did you get involved volunteering here at the museum?
I said I was going to volunteer someplace when I quit working.
Okay.
And I knew Jan. One of the other gals and her husband, I guess they still volunteer here. Ginger and Chuck Hornsburn. Yes. And she was saying, it's so much fun, you should come down and volunteer. And I said, I'm going to do that. So finally I did, and I can't even remember how long ago it was. And my husband did too. He came on, I came on Saturdays and he came on Tuesdays, I think. And we must have done that before 2008. So maybe 2006 or something like that we started doing it. And then in 2008, when he was diagnosed with cancer, then of course he had to quit when he started feeling bad. And so he may have quit in 2009. And then I did too, because I was staying home with him and we were having to, go to Steamboat and all this kind of stuff, and it wasn't working out. So I quit for a while, and when he passed away, and then I came back in. I must have come back in 2011, maybe 10. So, but I enjoy it, and they've taught me how to use a computer. And I'm still illiterate on it, but I can do kind of like a monkey. You're trained to punch the button. And
you look like you do fine over there.
Well, I just, don't ask me to go anyplace else but where I'm at, because I don't know where it's at. Where I just can't do it. And inside, I've kind of, since I started doing this, I'm not doing what I should be doing, so after greeting people, but I can't do them both.
Yeah.
And so, for a while I worked at the desk, and they had a laptop. Pretty soon that laptop just kept acting up and acting up. Pretty soon it just, you couldn't, we stumbled onto one program, and then pretty soon it didn't work at all. So I said, well, come in here, and so that's what I do.
Okay.
And I enjoy it.
How have you seen the museum change over the years?
Well, it just gets better all the time because they've got such great people that put up the new displays and think of things to do, and they just, it's an efficient group here, I think, that know what they're doing. Mary Pat is specifically, and she's wonderful. And so, okay, excuse me, I'll kick you. And of course, she's an artist friend too, and we paint together sometimes. But anyway.
She is a Jackie of all trades.
Yes, she has lots of interests that she does very well.
What kind of exhibits have you seen in the museum over the years?
Oh gosh, well, for 3 months, two friends and I were upstairs. We had our art display for 3 months, and of course, you didn't get to see the Norman Rockwell. That was wonderful. And
what did they have for the Norman Rockwell?
well, they had all of his, not all of them, but a ton, and they just lined the upstairs with his.
Were they originals?
Covers, yeah.
That's awesome.
And then they had one original painting.
Wow.
And it hung right down here on the main floor. And then they had a story you could listen to. I think it had a little screen. Anyway, and it ran through. Pretty soon, you're sitting at the desk. Pretty soon, you pick up on the same. For some reason, at a certain place, your ear picks up that and you think, I've heard this before. And it was just running through and through. And we had tons of people come through. I mean, it was so popular. They'd bring people up from Meeker and Steamboat. They'd come in on the little bus for the seniors. And up in Wyoming, they came down. So,
yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, and we had it. So where did you hear about this? And people, and of course we had big advertisements, for it on the outside of the building, so people going through would stop and see it. And people say, oh, I saw this in St. Louis, or I've been to the one in Massachusetts, where the original his museum is at.
Yeah.
And so they say, I've seen this there. And they're excited, about the whole thing. But I always thought of other things. Over the years they change it twice a year. At least they change the upstairs, and I can't remember what they've had in the past. But usually it's very, very good.
Right.
And they put the quilts up, and the ladies have a quilt contest, and they'll hang the quilts over the banister, and of course the fact when the gun thing was bought and went in, and of course it was there before, and then they bought it and left it there. But they've done a lot with that, and made it very secure.
Yeah.
Everything had to go through a lot of that. Oh, and then they had Delano, which is an artist. They had his big show, and so they had to get things in, from other museums and everything. So for a small museum, they do a lot of where they get things from other museums and display them. And I don't know that we send anything. I have to ask somebody if we send anything out, but they really do have. It's just amazing the things they get in here.
Yeah.
People trust us.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure there's other things. And then, on the floor, too, like from down in Browns Park, which you've heard about that down there. There was this big ranch down in there, and that black desk that's upstairs, is it still up there?
We just moved it downstairs.
Oh, okay.
The one with the gun on it? The picture of the hunt?
Might be. Anyway, the black desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And that was, they had a whole thing with their family stuff, and that was all. And so they do, a lot of people donate things to the museum. A lot of people That's what you don't want. But anyway, but a lot of it, you know, just, I guess they have no place else for it, and it's part of the history of Moffat County, so they donate it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you seen the capacity of this building change since you came here?
I mean, how many people come?
No, what this building's been used for.
Oh, you know, it's so funny. Apparently my kids didn't use this building when they were doing things like roller skating and showing movies, because they had a movie theater. Well, that movie theater's been there forever.
Yeah.
But they used to do all kinds of things, dances, they had everything here. I don't remember it. I knew it was the Armory. I thought it was a lovely building on the outside. But until they put the museum into it, which it used to be over in the courthouse, and then they just expanded when they came here, I don't remember it. And, you know, what they really used it for. I mean, I've been told, and I tell people all the time, you know, what they used to do in it. I mean, they'd have weddings and all kinds of things in it. You know, whatever anybody wanted to use it for, they did.
Do you remember pickleball?
No.
No.
I don't remember. Is that one of the things they did here was pickleball?
Yeah.
I have never seen pickleball played. I've heard of it, but I've never...
We've never seen it played, but we've heard a lot about it. It's apparently pretty popular here, so...
Not with me. I have no idea.
Oh, go ahead.
What was it like raising a family here?
Well, I liked it. The kids were, you know, you came and it was small and everything, and we lived close to the schools, and they didn't have to, you know, ride a bus. Well, my kids rode a bus. We lived on the hill, out on top of the hill for a while.
Right.
And the girls were in, let's see, well, 70, they'd have been, they both graduated from high school while we lived up there. And they did ride the bus, or friends would pick them up, and, or we'd run them in, and that kind of thing. But I thought it was fine. You know, I liked it. They got to join things, and whereas, you know, if you lived in a big city, that might have been a problem if everybody was working and stuff. It's what they got to do.
Right.
But no, I thought it was fine. And the school system changed somewhat, and of course, my girls didn't have any problems, but then when my grandkids got into school, I have a granddaughter that's challenged, let's say, and she didn't get the support that she needed.
Really?
Yeah. So I've been very disappointed in how they handled special needs kids.
Right.
So
that's very disappointing.
yeah. So anyway, other than that, you know, she's out of it now. So.
What would you do for family recreation? Or even if it was just you or you and your husband even,
Well,
what would you do?
Well, we camp some. You know, we like to camp.
Some camping.
Yeah, and I love to get out and take a ride. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's the same old thing, but you know, I can remember when we first moved here, and that was back in the '68, that we started driving out towards the Great Divide, and I said, I'm just waiting for the Indians to ride up over the top of that hill, you know, because it was just so desolate and so, there wasn't even telephone poles and wires in some of the areas we'd go into, and we, as far as recreation, we square danced.
Oh, okay. Where would you go for that?
Right here in town, we square danced in the schools.
Oh, okay.
You know, and then we'd belong to a club, so then we would do some traveling with the club, and that was just a few years that went on, and then things changed, you know. And then of course we had our church that we belonged to, and did things with that, and so forth. And what else did we do? My husband belonged to a lot of the clubs, like Lions Club. Not a lot of them, I guess he was in the Lions. And, of course, you know, we had our own business, so we were busy running that, and had to go to Denver, to the Denver area for Christmas and all the holidays, so that took time. And, I'm trying to think if we did anything else that was, you know, we fished and that kind of thing, but
fishing?
not we weren't fanatics about it. And
hunting?
But my husband hunted for a while until he decided it was too dangerous. That there were so many people out there, he just knew he was going to end up getting shot. So he decided he didn't want to hunt anymore, so he quit that.
Right.
And he liked to ice fish. He'd go ice fishing every once in a while.
On the river?
Oh, actually go down to Avery, which is down below, going towards Meeker.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would go fish down there and ice fish, which I never thought sounded like any fun, so I wasn't going. And, but, yeah, things like that, you know, nothing, we weren't fanatics about anything.
Well.
So.
Well, how, I guess just kind of in summary, how do you feel about Craig now? How do you feel about the community?
It's home. It's home. It's, you know, I go into Walmart and I don't know a single soul.
Wow.
And I think, whoa, who are all these strangers? And occasionally you run into somebody you know and you think, where are all these people coming from?
Right.
And yet we were only supposed to have 10,000 people in town. And of course I suppose that when we moved here it was, I don't know, 8,000. I never kept
So it hasn't
track
gone
of
up that much, right.
But so now it's supposed to be almost 10,000, and so I keep thinking, where are all these people? You know, where do they live and stuff? You know, but and the downtown has changed. It used to be that was where you shopped, you know, but now of course it's people struggle downtown to keep a store going usually, and the big stores that come in. It was Kmart, and it was Walmart, and these different chains. And of course, we're always looking for a different restaurant, but we can't seem to support. Because we used to have a Burger King, and it went out of business. And,
Where was that at?
Where the insurance company is on the corner of Green Street and Victory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we had a little Dairy Queen for years. It was a real old little building. And now we just, you know, for a while we had lots of Mexican restaurants, and now we're kind of, my favorite one closed, and but then the one up here opened up again, so, and they come and go. One time my mother and I sit down and we decided there were 32 places you could eat in Craig. Now, what was anybody complaining about?
32
no
places
places
in Craig.
to eat. Now, I haven't counted them recently to see if how much that's changed, but and you know, that was just saying you could go sit down in City Market and eat and that kind of thing if they had that little area back there. But that was a place you could go get a lunch and sit down and eat. And I think, you know, there's a few of them that have gone out of business and we can't. And when we moved up here, we didn't know anybody up here, and then my sister and her husband 10 years later moved up with their family. And then 10 years after that, my mother and her husband moved up here. So they just kind of followed us up here. And so now everybody's still here. Well, my mother passed away and her husband passed away. And, but my sister and her husband are still here. And her kids, 2 of her children live here. And all my kids live here. So it's, you know, it's home.
Right.
I like Craig. It's just, you know, I know where I'm going. I don't get lost. But, and it's grown a lot, you know.
Yeah. Is there a lot to still do as a big family or as a community?
You know, I don't know. It's just when people come. Well, because, you know, used to be when people came, and still do, we take them to Steamboat, you know, to show them Steamboat. And, but here now we bring them to the museum. We take them to Wyman's Museum out there. If it's not too hot, you go out to Dinosaur and that direction. I like to take them down to White River, and used to go to the Sleepy Cat restaurant down there. It was really nice and beautiful, and I don't know, haven't been there for years. And there's Black Mountain. You can go up and drive around Black Mountain, and it's somebody I know, but anyway. that shot my mind.
That's right, that's right.
Just a second. Darn it. It was really important what I was going to say. No.
Taking people to see things.
Yeah, but what was I going to say? Oh, no. We had discussed how Craig has more in-town things like ballparks, volleyball, not volleyball, soccer, parks, just little parks scattered around throughout town than any place we have ever seen.
The little parks.
Yeah, little parks, and then they have, of course, they have, Lottie Simpson out there has the 4 big baseball fields, and we used to, and I guess they still do, they have the kids' baseball tournament from, the big, not just from Craig, Colorado, but from all around. And they put in the soccer fields out there, and then they got the soccer fields over on 3rd Street, and another baseball field, and they have, of course, the wave pool.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've got that kind of recreation, and that's a nice part of there. And it's just, for a small town, we have a lot of in-town recreation, things like that.
Yeah, a lot of things to do.
And we've got our skate rink, then they have the hockey league.
Oh, the Dope Hockey League here.
Yeah, men, women, kids,
Wow.
yeah. And then it kind of limits the skating, but, and we don't have a roller skating rink anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very small skateboard park on the hill, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, but you want to see a skate park, you go to Steamboat. Whoa, I was there on Tuesday? Wednesday? Thursday. Yeah, we went Tuesday. I got to figure out what day it is. And one of my grandsons, 2 of my grandsons do skateboard. One of them's a grown man, and he should quit, he's going to hurt himself. But anyway, I had never seen this place, and they're getting it all ready to build up and fixing the road and doing all this kind of stuff. This thing's incredible.
Mm.
And to step back in there and not too many people know about it yet, but they'll get it advertised and
I'm sure.
so forth. It's right down by the river, and it's...
Did we see it? I don't remember seeing it. We were just in Steamboat last weekend.
Yeah. No, you have, as you're coming into town, and that first shop, not the first shopping center, the Justice Department, you see where the Justice Department was? Okay, it's just a little dirt road just before you get to the Justice Department, and it's back in there.
Okay.
But like I say, they'll be opening it up pretty soon. They'll probably put in restrooms and, all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And get it, because you can go walk down, you can fish. There's a walking path. That walking path went on beyond that. They have a cement path that you can walk down to the river. And, but anyway, I was impressed by it's got this bowl thing that you go swooping and all around, and almost a clover leaf type of thing.
Yeah.
And, scares me to death. I didn't want to watch him. I've seen enough, and I went to look at the river, and then I left. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I think that Craig really has a lot of things like that. And the kids can ride their bike. They got the bike path that goes down to the river, and they can go down and fish down there, walk or ride their bikes or
Right.
whichever. And of course, they have all the 4-H, and they've got horse clubs, and they, just all kinds of things. So anybody that says they don't have anything to do here are looking for the wrong thing either, or they just are too lazy to join anything,
Yeah.
and really do anything.
Yeah.
They just like to complain, maybe.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Thank you.
yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No.
That's good. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.